It's daybreak here on Rise News, and it's time for the press preview. First look at what's on the front pages. We'll start with our sister publication, This Day newspaper. And on the front page of This Day, Ortom breaks with Wike, says he's not supporting IU's removal. Ortom seems to be swinging like a pendulum. Whether he knows what he wants is I think you start asking. He had some riders there. Reaffirms confidence in his ability to lead party to victory. PDP stakeholders pressure Atiku to prevail on chairman to quit. Dino Melai were not threatened by our competitors. That's what that's what they're saying. Ex-VP appoints Saraki, Anyim, Shekarau, Secondus, others special advisors. All right, let's look at some other stories there. Keredolu Amoteku must be giving arms to carry out its duties. And then just above that, Nigeria's troubled power grid collapses again, begins recovery. And then on the topmast, Adebanjo, why Afenifere is supporting Peter Obi's presidential bid.
The Punch newspaper this morning, leading headline, 24 hours to campaigns. INEC can Sultan warn parties and supporters against violence. Meanwhile, INEC to publish voter register in January 2023. Just below that, Amoteku Akeredolu insists on arms. Afenifere knocks the federal government.
All right, let's look at some of all the other papers. Let's go to the Nation newspaper. Nation says, oh, well, that's a Nation. Akeredolu, no going back on plan to arm Amoteku call. Tinubu Shetima, that's just at the top mass. Tinubu Shetima joint ticket, best for women. Atiku bypasses Wike allies, names Saraki Oyelola advisors. And then just below that picture, federal government reverses order urging VCs to reopen varsities.
The Guardian Nigeria this morning, leading headline, INEC unveils ground rules for hitch-free issue-based campaigns. Warns governors against denying opposition parties access to public facilities. One more headline here. Federal government makes U-turn, withdraws order to reopen varsities.
All right, now to foreign papers. A Financial Times. Bank of England and Treasury failed to calm market nerves over UK finances.
The Independent newspaper this morning, leading headline, how the far right won Italians over. That's a photo of Giorgia Meloni thanking voters yesterday as she looked set to become Italy's first ever female prime minister. Below that, bank intervenes as pound slumps to an all-time low. For the press preview, let's now bring in Emmanuel Bello, who joins us this morning. Emmanuel, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Let's take a look at this day. There's so many important stories today. But first, we start with Ortom and his breakaway, potential breakaway with Wike. He's saying that he's not part of the people calling for the resignation of the APC, of the PDP, the opposition's party's national chairman, IU. He goes on further to say it's even impossible because he was part of the people who put him in that position. What are your thoughts on this development, Emmanuel?
Well, good morning, Kechi. Indeed, good morning. It's actually a turnaround, and that's why I say in most campaigns you have that day or that event that will turn the tide, and then turn the tenure and the texture of the campaign. And in this case, it was the surprise move by Ortom, making a breakaway, and that's very significant because this also suggests that there's a crack, a huge one, in the Wike, team, especially the anti-IU team that Wike was able to build. So this breakaway is going to be helpful to Atiku, who's always said that, look, I'm maintaining his stand that IU should remain until he becomes president. And so it's 24 hours to the elections, to the campaigns. And so for this to have happened, that I think to some extent puts the party or the PDP in a place where it's able to, enter the campaigns now with some kind of assurance. I think that what the party is doing, what PDP is doing, and certainly what the candidate is doing, Atiku, is to look beyond Wike, to bypass Wike and all that Wike has been throwing his way, to surmount that and say, okay, look, we're going into these campaigns with or without you. And one way they are doing it is to actually, take the lead now or be on the offensive. For instance, naming secondos into his campaign council is a very clear way of saying that, look, we have access into the Rivers, into Rivers State. I remember that Wike for weeks now, even months, has been saying that no one can go into Rivers without him, and that he's not going to allow for any kind of, anyone bypassing him, and that he's the Lord of Rivers State. He's the one in charge, and that Rivers votes are with him, and that you cannot go to the people and ask for their votes. And it's been very hard about this. He's even warned his base. He said, look, anybody doing business in Abuja with Atiku and with the PDP is doing so at their detriment. He's been saying all of that. So for him to be this bypassed, as it were, by the Atiku group, is to actually take the fight to him, to say, look, we can do without you. So it's left for Wike now to wonder whether he's going to actually backpedal. But remember, Nkechi's been saying things like, look, I'm not leaving the party, I'm going to do what I can do. Even suggesting at the point that, look, he's going to work very hard for his candidate, the governorship candidate in his state, to win, but that he might not work for the president. So how he's able to paddle that, the battle's been taken to him. And with Ortom, who is one of his major backbone in his efforts according to him, it was a fight for justice. He wants a situation where the presidential candidate and the national chairman wouldn't be from the same zone. Ortom has made a serious breakout statement now by saying, look, I am not going to work for that, and that, like you say, Nkechi, he said he was the one that actually brought Ayu in, so why should he be the one that will take him out? Essentially also saying, rebuking Wike, because Wike, we know, brought in secondos and actually work against secondos. Ortom saying, I'm not going to toe that line with you.
Well, a writer said, when you start to build, count your cost to know whether you can finish the race. But Wike says, I'll fight to finish. We'll see how that plays out with Wike and the PDP. Let's look at the nation. One story side there, Keredolu, no going back on plan to arm Amoteku core. There's a story. Don't plunge Nigeria into crisis. Can Sultan warn religious leaders? Sanwo-Olu, others preach peace. Those two stories, Emmanuel.
Yes, and they are coming at the time that INEC too is talking so strongly about the conduct of the campaigns, because we're going into one of the most, some people will say it's going to be a very bitter campaign ahead of us, because of the rhetoric out there already, the talking points, and the back and forth among politicians. So all these warnings are very important, because there are a whole lot of people will be polarizing these campaigns along these fault lines, along either tribal or religious. So the warnings are coming right in place. But look at that, at the eve of the campaigns, Keredolu is saying, look, I'm going to arm Amotekun. Has that got anything to do with the elections or what? But this is because Keredolu keeps saying that, look, if you are going to arm similar outfit elsewhere in the country, Katsina State, for instance, had armed an outfit, why won't Amotekun be armed? It goes back to the issue of local policing, state policing, and the fact that governors are thinking outside the box, or even inwards, to see how they're able to protect their people, how they're able to support the federal government, and that the federal government has been overwhelmed, so they need to put up outfits. Kenneth, I can assure you that many states have got various kind of ideas, thinking outside the box, trying to see what they can do to deal with the menace we were all faced with. So Akeredolu is saying he's going to go ahead with. I mean, of course, his position is against what the federal government keeps saying, that look, only the police or only those who are allowed to do that supposed to bear arms. But he's pointing to other similar outfits elsewhere in the world and saying, if it's good for Katsina, for instance, why is it not good for his state? And so that's where the stage has been set for a showdown. Already, the Attorney General office is already making statements about that look, there are constitutional provisions for this kind of things, and that shouldn't. But Keredolu is saying, look, it has to do with internal structures of my trying to protect my people. Why shouldn't we bear arms? There are people who have argued in the past that, look, if you allow states to arm themselves, if you allow state governors to set up outfits, they might use them during elections. So on the eve of a very serious election coming ahead of us, this transition election, you have this happening, and of course you have those warnings, and of course what INEC is saying concerning even what the broadcast industry should be looking in as we go into the campaigns.
Definitely, Emmanuel, and it's not a shocker that all this is happening as we're starting campaigns tomorrow and just less than 200 days to the general elections. We're going to see so many U-turns like we've seen with Ortom, so many groups coming out to reiterate who they are backing. Now, Afenifere has come out to reiterate that they're backing the Labour Party candidate, Peter Obi, and the leader says it's in terms with the quest of peace, equality and inclusiveness. Some people have come out to criticize their stance. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think, and I've been in the hall where he was making a very passionate case for Igbo presidency, and the leader, and he calls himself acting leader of the Afenifere. A faction of the Afenifere is saying that, look, no, they are not going with that, because the elections over here in Kecha, I can assure you, is going to be along serious zonal kind of leanings, and so it's almost interesting. But what he is talking about, the acting leader of Afenifere, what he's talking about is clearly very utopian in nature, a situation where the West can actually support the East. And he says he's even, tying it back to some, ideology of the action group way back, and that, Obafemi Awolowo of blessed memory will have supported this, that it is the turn of the South, and even in the South, it's the turn of the Igbos, and say that, look, the Igbos have never occupied that position. And among the Igbos, there are other people running for president among the Igbos, but that Peter Obi, for them, is the person they are taking out and supporting. So he was also saying this because he's being attacked by the APC flag candidate who is from the Southwest, who thought, look, Afenifere should back him. If Ohaneze is going to back Peter Obi, he is expecting that the Apex Pan-Yoruba group called the Afenifere should be able to back him. But so this is a twist too in the tale, to have someone, the leader of Afenifere, coming out so strongly to say, no, we are backing Peter Obi. Now, whether it's going to get the attention of the Yoruba people or the Southwest, and as a zone or as a people, is a different matter altogether. But for now, this is politically correct. He's saying some real sound things, and the things that should happen. He's saying that this is what should be done if there's going to be equity, if there's going to be, and he's very passionate about it. Wherever you see him talking about these matters, he say them with the kind of zest and the kind of passion that people have spoken about. That look, and he used the word brutally marginalized, that the Igbos have been brutally marginalized. It's just their turn to produce the next president. But of course, he's going to be faced with the crisis of the Southwest. Listening to that, they have got a horse in the race too, and they might be leaning towards that. But he's saying, the acting leader of Afenifere is saying that, look, it's time that we'll be our brother's keeper. We support that a president of southeastern extraction mounts that place, because for long and in the history of this country, that has not happened. He thinks that this is the time, and that we're on the verge of history, and that everyone should key in, especially the Southwest.
Well, you just hit the nail on the head there. You're speaking for yourself, not Yoruba people. Group tackles Afenifere over endorsement of Obi, but we don't have time. We will leave it there. And INEC is saying BVAS or nothing. They are insisting that they will use BVAS. E-transmission of results, INEC is insisting on that. Thank you so much, Emmanuel Bello, with the press preview. Let's hear your view on all the burning issues. Follow us on Twitter at Arise.tv. You can join today's conversation using the hashtag AriseDaybreak.